Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 27 of Sefer Hamitzvot. Yesterday, we did the mitzvah, positive mitzvah number 12, which is the commandment to wear the head tefillin. And today, the mitzvah is in the actions involving the tefillin worn on the arm. Or if you're the other left, if you're a lefty, you do this arm. And the pasuk, of course, is ukshartem laos al yadecha. You should tie as a sign on your hand. And as we discussed yesterday, it's a very clear example of how Torah Shebechtav, the Chumash, is very, very cryptic, and only because of the oral tradition, which was started with Moses, do we even know what that means. This is also repeated in the Torah 4 times, and Rambam here explains the proof of why we know it's 2 mitzvahs as opposed to just 1. Okay. So by knowing that women are not obligated, it's one of the main reasons we understand what the essence or what's the idea of tefillin. And essentially, it's actually very similar to learning Torah. What's the idea of learning Torah and putting on tefillin? That we naturally, without kind of feeding our minds and feeding our souls, naturally, we're going to have animalistic inclinations. We're going to want to do the things that are fun and materialistic and pleasurable. We're like animals. That's a big part of what we are just those animal instincts, right? Tanya talks about the godly soul and the animal soul. It's very natural. There's nothing wrong with you if you have materialistic instincts or animal instincts, whatever you want to call them. But Hashem's like, I know that you're capable of much more. Right, your true essence is an neshama. Your true essence is that you're holy and that you're godly. But we need to feed that. We need to feed that godly mentality, that way of thinking, that way of looking at the world. It's not automatic. Holiness is the most natural thing in the world, yet it's not automatic at all. We have to be very, very active. And the way we do that, of course, is by learning Torah, because you're literally feeding your mind. You see the world differently. You're constantly just like, you're giving yourself the fuel, the oxygen, the water, whatever you want to call it. And it's actually compared to all of those things to put yourself actively, constantly in that holy mindset. The mimer that the bar mitzvah boys do, the way it starts, the idea that it leads to is that it says that the Jews wanted to learn Torah all day, but we can't. We have to work. We have to do things. So Hashem says, put on tefillin. And this, to me, will be like as if you're learning Torah all day. So it creates they both have a similar agenda, so to speak. What's the idea of tefillin? To be for you a sign. A sign of what? What's written in the Torah, in the tefillin, the ideas of the oneness of Hashem, how Hashem is the active, right? Yetzias Mitzrayim, specifically the idea, and this is very appropriate for almost it being Shavuos, is right, because really, if you think of the greatest thing Hashem did, you would say the creation of the world. Like, whoa, right? But the thing that we constantly are like, Hashem is so amazing. You see us Mitzrayim. He took us out of Egypt. What's kind of the big thing here is that it shows that Hashem is an active involvement in our life. It wasn't, we didn't create the world and then he's going on vacation like Aladdin's lamp thing and just do your thing. No, Yetzias Mitzrayim, the way he took us out of Egypt shows, and it wasn't just then, it's every single moment God is actively involved in our life. This is a real deal, guys. So these are the themes that are discussed in the Shema, which is written in our tefillin. And that's literally the point, is to constantly remind us. It's like, it's like affirmations, things that you have to remember and act on every day. It sets the tone for your day. It activates that holiness. Similarly is tzitzis. It's part of the same genre where tzitzis, there's the 613 strings that represent the 613 mitzvahs. It's just, again, bringing literally awareness. You could forget. We want to constantly remind you, your mission statement, the love that Hashem has for us. Amazing, amazing themes, but we want it to be real. We want it to be seen and aware. Mezuzah on the door, the same content is written, the idea of Shema. And it's kind of like every time you walk into our house, anytime you walk into a Jewish place, you feel, you're reminded, this is it. It's recenter, realign yourselves. But because the whole idea is to kind of like, we're drawn to materialism, yet this is going to remind us like what really matters, our focus. There are times when it's not necessary to be reminded, because we are already in it. We are engulfed. We are surrounded by holiness. So we don't need these reminders. A Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash, while he's working there, does not need to wear tefillin. He's in the holiness. He's like he is the tefillin. He doesn't need that outside reminder. Shabbos is a great story. My father, one guy took on a resolution, Yom Kippur, to put on tefillin every day. It's a big deal. And he came to my father a year later, how proud he was. Rabbi, I put on tefillin every single day, especially on Shabbos, right? You would think Shabbos is the holiest day, I'm going to do this great mitzvah. But because Shabbos is so holy, we're engulfed in godliness. That's the whole idea. It's a day of God. We don't need to wear tefillin that day. It's not necessary. And of course, on holidays, the same exact thing. We don't need to wear tefillin that day. So this brings us to women. Women are Shabbos. Women are the Beis Hamikdash. We are not forgetful, so to speak. There's a natural inclination. There's a natural reminder. We don't need the yarmulke on top of our head. We don't need the tzitzis that remind us of the 613 mitzvahs. We don't need to wear those gorgeous boxes, on our head and our forearm. It's something that is needed for the man's role in connecting to Hashem. This isn't a matter of better or worse. Women have a different makeup, and we don't need those external reminders. It's like we always say, right? The ultimate sign, it only happens once, is that a man gets a bris, right? Baby boy gets a bris right away. He's showing, I'm God's person. And a woman doesn't have that, obviously, not just from a biological perspective, but because she is essentially born with a bris. It's natural to her. So that's why she doesn't need these external, so to speak, signs to remind her. She knows. She knows. And this is, I think, such a critical, especially in this day and age with a lot of misconceptions. It's not that women are oh, you have less opportunities, you do less mitzvahs. Just the opposite. It would actually be insulting for a woman, right? It would be insulting for her to get an aliyah to the Torah. Aliyah is the same idea. Your soul needs a little help being elevated. A woman's soul is there. So it would be giving a college professor an 8th grade diploma. That's insulting. So it's because of a great, I don't want to say greatness, but an amazing asset that women have, and therefore they don't need these mitzvahs. It would be ridiculous. It would be like on the Shabbos table putting tefillin. It's not the place for it. We're already in that mode. The tefillin isn't necessary at this time. Okay, so that's about tefillin. Just to touch upon what tomorrow's mitzvah is going to be, Shabbos, since we will not be together on the Zoom, is we're going to do positive mitzvah 15, which is the commandment of mezuzah, and positive mitzvah 18 is the idea that every Jewish male should write his own Torah scroll. Very interesting halachos. Kisvulachem es hashira hazos, which is referring to ha'azinu, write ha'azinu, and because there's a law that you're not allowed to write just one. If you're writing the Torah, you got to write the whole thing. You can't write just one portion. So clearly, if we have to write the song, it means we have to write the entire portion. So in case you're wondering if there's a theme here, there is. The laws that they're learning in the 3-chapter track are all about anything related to scribes. So tefillin, mezuzah, Torah scrolls, etc. Looking forward to seeing you on Monday. Have an amazing day.